getting dark. That can only mean one thing.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 9 of the Omega Dudes. What are we going to get into today? Well, we're going to talk about the COVID stimulus check. We're going to get into OnlyFans today, not get into it. We're going to talk about it. Simps rejoice and girls trying to get paid to show their buttholes on the internet. They are getting very upset with all these hacks going on for people getting in without paying. We got a lot of technology stuff to talk about. I don't know. I don't really talk binary code and stuff. I'll let the other two get into that. Chris and Chaz, what the hell is going on?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Parrish. No idea whatsoever.
It is. This is quite strange. I feel like I'm the odd man out here, and I feel like I shouldn't be. So
I don't know. I feel completely myself, and I just
more than ever, huh?
Yeah, this is just the way that I finally feel, liberated. So I found this fabulous shirt in my closet, and my wife just happened to have the perfect shade of eyeliner, and here I am. So
I want to ask anybody who's watching, go ahead and comment below. What's your first thought when we opened up and you saw Chris? I'll tell you mine. Now I want to hear yours. My first thought was My Chemical Romance meets
what's his name? Jared Leto's Joker, maybe something like that.
Oh no, it was My Chemical Romance meets The Princess Bride. I'm seeing elements of both there, and with a beard though, and it's sexy. It looks great. Looks like
maybe
Chaz
a little bit of Darth Rocky in there.
I can't drink beer in that mask.
There you go. That's your problem. Maybe that's why Bane had maybe that's why he was such a jerk.
That's why he was so angry.
Maybe why he had such a scratchy voice too. He was just parched.
Yeah. They don't have beer in the dark.
See on the uninitiated.
So what the hell is going on with this stimulus deposit situation? Because this is blowing up like crazy. You got your stimulus, right, Parrish?
Yeah. And that was one thing. There's another thing I'd like to see people comment on. What are you spending your stimulus checks on? So like me, it's basically just guns and ammo. Like it's basically just a kind of a free pass. I'm taking my share of it. My wife's taking her share of it. We're doing a little bit each. Mine, I'm just dumping it tomorrow at my local pawn and gun shop on some fun stuff, some fun new toys. But so it's all going to be going to that kind of thing. What are you guys planning on doing with your COVID stimulus?
Say that I'm glad that you're doing that. I'm glad that you're buying firearms and ammunition, because you're only going to have them for a couple more months, according to everybody. So,
Correct. They might get lost in a boating accident. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who can tell what happens in the future?
It's unfortunate how often that happens. Boats are so unreliable. I don't understand. Sure. I don't know why they're trying to hold social media accountable, but they won't hold boat manufacturers accountable for all these horrible, just heart-wrenching accidents where all these beautiful firearms are lost forever. So
it's a tragedy.
What I'm going to spend my stimulus on is, who the hell knows? Because I haven't gotten it yet. And that's because
At least it's not just me.
Yeah. It's because I used TurboTax to do my 2019 tax return. And here's the situation, because it has been blowing up all over the internet. News has finally started picking it up. But so if you did your tax return online, there's a bunch of these services out there that have started to come out. But initially it was H&R Block, then TurboTax. And the way that you had to do it basically for this situation to come about is you file your tax return, and if you were getting a refund and you paid for the tax return filing service from your refund, so they took it out of your refund, that's what caused this fiasco. So the reason why is because they use a third-party bank to process them with what's called a pass-through account. The one that TurboTax used is SBTPG, I think was what it is, like something
Make up a bunch
tax
of letters
processing group or something like that. Yeah. So what happened? The first stimulus, the IRS just kind of did things right, kind of took their time, but they're claiming because they were under such tight restrictions time-wise this time that they just kind of messed up and sent everybody's, instead of sending it to the accounts that were on file, they sent it to that pass-through account that TurboTax or H&R Block used. The only problem is that that account had been closed down since that last tax season, or since the first stimulus check came out, or sometime, a while. So nobody really knows what happened, if it got kicked back. The IRS said that it got kicked back. TurboTax, H&R Block said that it got kicked back, but then H&R Block was like, we're gonna work with the IRS. We're gonna figure something out. We're gonna get you your money. And sure enough, people started getting their money even after they, all hope was pretty much lost. TurboTax and everybody else just kind of kept silent. And by everybody else, I know Tax Slayer was one of them, Liberty, a couple other of the services out there. But then people really started getting pissed off, and it started spreading online, and all of these executives at TurboTax started seeing something pretty peculiar happening to their stock, as in kind of started going down. Not only that, but everybody was going online and downloading all of their tax documents and putting in the reason why as finding other services or something. So within a couple days, they sent out an email doing basically the same thing that H&R Block did. And people have already said that they've been getting their stimulus deposited on their, if they have like a Chime account, one of those online banking accounts, or like the TurboTax net spend card, I think it's called, or a Green Dot card, or the Walmart card, because apparently those online cards will get direct deposits. They'll post as soon as they hit, which is kind of cool. I didn't realize that. And speaking of this, kind of an aside, Chime, I don't know if you guys have heard of this or not. I'm going to look into it because it sounds pretty interesting, if nothing other than having a direct deposit account. So if you use them, you get a direct deposit. It shows up as soon as it hits, whereas most banks take a day at least, sometimes 2-3 days to process it, post it. They don't have overdraft fees. If you overdraft, I'm sure it's like after a certain amount of time, it will charge you for an overdraft. But most banks, if you overdraft and it goes past the cutoff time, they're charging you like $35. Apparently Chime doesn't do that.
Oh, yeah.
On top of that, they have referral links for account holders. If you send somebody a referral link and they use that referral link to open an account, with their first $200 or more direct deposit, each one of you, the referee and the referrer, gets $75 from Chime. Found that out too. They just give away $75 for referral. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. So anyways, back to the TurboTax thing. People that have those cards have been posting all over Reddit that their stimulus deposits have been coming in. Nobody with bank accounts has confirmed it because, again, it takes time to process. So we'll see, maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday, Monday. I don't know, but it looks promising. It looks like they're holding up on their word. But a lot of others, they're basically saying, I'm sorry if you didn't get it and your online status is showing not available, payment information not available or whatever, that message that most people are getting. They're basically saying, yeah, you're going to have to file for it in your tax return and get it done. So it's unfortunate that this was such a massive mess up on the IRS. It's not very surprising, but just for something that's supposed to be helping people out, for them to make such a mistake and then basically tell them, well, sorry, too bad.
Well, it's worse than that, man. I mean, Congress passed the thing, and they only gave the IRS between December 28th and January 15th to get 328 million people their money.
Sure.
And if it was outside of that, then the people just had to claim it on their taxes.
Sure.
Well,
but when you think about it, though, and this is kind of where I'm at with it, so I could see if it were that length of time for the first round of stimulus payments, but they've already done this once already. Like they have everything set up. I don't really understand why it's so difficult to just repeat the process. I mean, things have changed in terms of who qualifies, but not that much. It's very slightly. So I just think someone blew it. I think that's really what it is. And they're trying to blame it on the time restrictions, but I don't think so.
Blame it on COVID. Everybody else is.
Blame it on Trump. Yeah.
It's
blame it on
the
alcohol.
Yeah, there it is. Or the 30 pounds of blow. Oh, wait, no, that was the FBI or the
ATF.
ATF.
No, DEA.
DEA.
Whatever.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Some government initials.
Letter agencies. Yeah. It's almost, guys, and stop me if you've heard this one before. It's almost as if government can be untrustworthy. I know. It's weird. You know what? Never mind. We'll fix that. We'll take that out in post. That's fine.
They have your best interests at heart. I know it. And
just ask the Native Americans.
Well, and what's actually kind of funny now that we're bringing up best interests at heart. So you guys obviously know about OnlyFans. I've never subscribed to an OnlyFans account, but I think we all by now know what they are, kind of. For anybody out there that doesn't know what it is, it's basically kind of like a private, soft or maybe hardcore even cam girl type account, kind of like a Patreon, but X-rated. So you can, a girl, or I don't know if guys are allowed. I think it's mostly women.
Guys do it too.
Do guys do it? Okay. Can create an account and have different like registration levels, or maybe it's just one, but you have to pay a monthly subscription fee, and when you do, you can see all of their content, and it's usually X-rated, pornographic in nature. Just is what it is. But so the other day I was explaining it to my wife because she hadn't heard of it, and we were talking about what's her name, Bella Delphine or whatever her name is. She didn't know about her either, so I was just kind of like catching her up on some of this modern kind of pop culture-y type stuff. And so I was Googling it to just kind of show her what an OnlyFans landing page looks like. And as I was Googling it, I started seeing links for like OnlyFans hack. I'm thinking, well, what's this? Well, apparently there is a way to access OnlyFans accounts for free. So
now Chris has extensively pursued this lead. He's put in about 200 hours into it over the past week. He's lost his job. His wife has left him. But he is here
Hence
to
the
report.
outfit.
Yeah, it can be done.
Well, that's the coolest.
He now has his own OnlyFans account. You can follow him at
Simp Master
Omega Chris
Extraordinaire. Yeah,
it's actually the coolest thing because you have metrics and analytics within OnlyFans, so you can see what your fans like. Nice. And I thought they were going to like the more masculine, the Chris that I know. Turns out that's not what they wanted. So I just had to, appeal to my fans, and it's self-discovery, but hey, it's a fun process and I've been enjoying it. But what bothers me are these hackers that are seeing my content that I work hard for free. But Apparently, it's some sort of APK that you just download and kind of sideload into Android phones. I don't think there's any iPhone or anything. I think it's Android only, or maybe if you jailbreak your iPhone, that can happen. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Speaking of interesting, what about Pornhub and their whole deleting all of the verified or unverified accounts on their service?
That at least made sense.
Yeah, so I found out about that on Reddit, and and what was funny is one of the comments on Reddit was this guy that was just complaining about how his entire library of favorite Pornhub videos was just gone, and it was like 4 years that he'd spent curating all these fantastic videos from Pornhub, and he was so distraught and so angry that had happened. And I get why they did it. I'm sure it wasn't something that they just decided, let's, for the greater good, let's just do this because we really care, and we'll take the financial hit. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of pressure for them to do that. But Parrish, you're kind of our resident expert with exploitation. So now with Pornhub, but
I was gonna say we're the wrong guy. With sex trafficking and stuff is it's a way bigger issue than most people know, that are only getting their information from like the most basic sources. It's not something that's talked about in the mainstream too much, but it is real, and it is out there. And there's that I know Pornhub has gotten into some trouble already over that kind of stuff. So I think there's probably something going on behind the scenes a little bit. They caught wind of something going on, or maybe someone actually there's an employee at Pornhub that has scruples somewhere that says, hey, you know what? Maybe we should like verify and make sure that these. Without getting into
can't even say that with a straight face.
Sure that everybody's like the not being taken advantage of, not being trafficked illegally,
right?
No underage kids and things like that.
And that's something with Congress.
What's that?
Didn't it have something to do with Congress? I mean,
I don't know.
Check prying into it or something.
Check it really quick, Chaz. Maybe if you have a sec. And because I was going to say one of the things, not that I was surprised so much to read about this. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but just the percentage of accounts that are estimated as being like exploitative or trafficked, under, not even necessarily underage, but also underage women, but just a lot of trafficked, sex trafficked women that are on Pornhub against their will. And that's a pretty disgusting thing when you think about it. Like, I mean, everybody knows what such sites are for, and people watching that type of stuff, not even realizing that's what's going on. It's just, that's gross.
Yeah. And Chris, it's not even just, it's not always like that they're forced necessarily. A lot of times, I think a lot of times what we see is girls getting drugged up.
Like groomed as well, I'm sure.
Groomed, drugged up. They get them hooked on drugs, and then once you have that, they're, it's chemical slavery, and then they'll do whatever they need to do to chase that dragon.
Kind of like a Requiem for a Dream type situation,
Rolling back,
really. Go ahead.
Yeah, would you find something, Chaz?
Yeah, rolling back, it does. New York Times did an expose, and they pulled up a lot of content that was from underage and non-consensual people, and it started to go to Congress, and it actually falls under Section 230, which has come under a lot of fire lately with all the social media stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what they're cleaning up their act for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Trying to what's the nip it at the bud type thing to try.
Yeah.
get ahead
So
of it.
Because if that happens, they lose their they become a publisher.
Yeah.
And they're liable for all that stuff. So
sure. Yeah.
You
at
know,
least
I
they're
think
making a conscious effort.
Well, when you have you were just talking about this the other day, Parrish. It was you said Homeland Security, but like the U.S. Marshals specifically, they've been doing in Atlanta. There was one that was pretty publicized, but there's been a few others around the country. These like raids, like citywide raids, where they'll find out where a bunch of trafficked or underage girls that are living with guys because they were groomed or whatever, and they'll go around and collect them. And in Atlanta, it was like some 30 something,
it was like 30 or 40 something.
A lot of young girls, exploited girls that they rounded up, and then they did it in, I can't remember what the second place they did it in, but they were doing it, a few different places. So, and that's the tip of the iceberg. That doesn't even come close to what's going on, and especially even outside of America, but even inside of America, it's going to be a lot worse than that, fortunately. But
I think that there's a even bigger conversation, not bigger, even more macro conversation to be had.
A more meta conversation to be.
Ooh, no, Chris, no. You retired that word. We don't say that.
It's so 2020.
2021. Yeah. Jeez. Oh, God. You compose myself. Yeah. I think that there's an even macro word to or discussion be had about that. Like, and we're probably at odds about this on some level. I've got some pretty hard and extreme views about pornographic material to begin with, or overall. I think that the whole concept or the phenomenon of simps and incels and all some of the problems that young men are having today with talking to girls and meeting their social lives are being held. They're being altered from what is and should be a natural progression because of the widespread free availability of pornographic material on the internet. And there's a lot more than that.
Go ahead, Chaz. Yeah, you have something to say. Go for it. I have something after you.
It's none of your fucking business.
I agree. Absolutely. What someone does in the privacy of their own home that's true. But if you look up incels and just do a Google search on incels and simps, and you see there's a major degradation of society going on among those groups there.
Here's my take on that. I don't think that that's something that started with pornography, particularly on the internet. I think that's been going on for a while. I think the internet facilitated them meeting each other to where they have this because with that whole incel thing, it's kind of like they validate each other and they're like almost proud of being ashamed of themselves. It's weird. It's like this.
Yeah. Some of them, yeah.
It's strange. I watched a couple. I think one was a Vice expose or something, and I've seen a couple other short mini documentary type things where people kind of talk. They'll go to incels, proud incels, and talk about it. And it's weird because it's like they they like the self-degradation of it all, like the whole Chad and Becky thing that you always see, that meme. And but then a lot of them really do have like psychological problems and end up killing themselves, which was, you know, really terrible too. So I don't know if
I don't think pornography has anything to do with that.
I don't think it's necessarily pornography because there's always been that whole Chad and Becky thing, right? Like the alpha male and the varsity cheerleader captain of the football team thing. That's, you know, that's been going on forever. And the guys that feel inferior because they're like the nerds or whatever, they're smart, but they're not athletic or that type of thing. But it's like thing, it's like with everything else, the internet has given them a place to meet each other and like fosters that belief and that environment, you know. And it's kind of like the people that like some of these hate groups out there that otherwise would kind of be in the shadows, but nowadays have, you know, found groups online and they're not as afraid to come out with this stuff. You know, I think maybe pornography might have, and the proliferation of all this really extreme stuff with pornography, that's, you know, I'm sure it just keeps getting worse and worse in terms of the extreme side of pornography, I'm sure. But I think the internet's the root of the problem, not just the pornography.
Mm.
Let's just ban the internet.
Oh, yeah, no. I think that I like the internet as a you know, a forum of free speech where anybody can go on and we can do this here.
Yeah. But it is a double-edged sword.
It is absolutely profound and complete free speech does have these things. What I'm talking about is not. I'm not advocating a ban per se. I'm advocating that people grow up, and I'm advocating that men be men of honor and that women be women of honor, and that they
it's not
don't.
The 12th century, homie.
Well, and even
chivalry's dead.
Well, and even back then, that's
only
not
if you allow
it
it to be.
No,
yeah, but
it's dead.
Completely disagree with that. Completely disagree
dead.
with that.
So what I will say,
if you find a chivalrous person in modern society, chances are they will be ridiculed and demeaned until they're not.
Well, and what's funny too is that incels, at least from what I have seen and read, and it's not like I've only heard of this in passing. I've spent a little bit of time on Reddit or wherever, like r/incels, and I think that was actually banned a while ago. But they consider themselves like the nice guy, the chivalrous people. Like they're going at these hot cheerleader type beautiful women are going after the douchey Chad characters that are the muscular, you know, football players. And instead of, you know, going after the nice guys that will treat them right and treat them like a real lady. And that's why they're always like the neckbeards. The one thing, the word that like so many people use to define them is milady, because like they're trying to like act like chivalrous knights from back in the day or something like that. It's probably like
it's my word.
Well, you know, it's probably kind of like
I've used that my whole life.
A role play. What is it? The real life role playing. Yeah, there you go.
Call me a LARPer, I'll slap you.
I wasn't going to call you a LARPer, but it probably comes from that LARPing thing, the medieval fantasy type LARPing situation. But yeah, that's one of the things that a lot of people say about neckbeards. He's a milady type, and it's just funny that you say that about chivalry, because so many of the incels think that they are the chivalrous ones and everybody else isn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's different levels too. You know, I think that there's guys that consider themselves, you know, incels that are they're going after the. I think when we were in high school, they were straight edges, right? Or like slightly after high school. I don't know. Did we really have straight edge?
What was the whole? So let's dive into that for a second.
Guys that don't drink. They don't. They don't partake in any kind of vice.
That was it.
And they're proud of that.
Most of them were vegans.
Was it sex too with them? Was that one of the vices as well, or?
I'm not sure. I
Only
think
until one of them had sex, then sex was okay.
Right. Well, and that's the thing with all of this. It's like, and that's my overall point. Like, I think we've kind of gone to a different place, but my whole point with porn and the damage that it's doing in society, and with young men particularly who are watching it and getting really addicted to it, is that you're going young men are coming up not knowing how to talk to people, not knowing how to interact with people, not knowing how to have a relationship, because the only relationships they have are with porn stars on the internet. And guys they're getting romantically, or I don't know what the word is, emotionally maybe lazy and obese about it. Because why would I go to a bar and try and meet a girl? Why would I go to a singles group and try and meet a girl when, I can have a different 10 every night? And a lot of young guys are just saying like, hey, yeah, it's not as good as a relationship. It's not as good as a real thing, but it's really easy to do. Whereas, in the 60s or 70s, guys.
Hold on. We're going to have
a National Geographic magazine.
We're going to have to split
there's
this
a lot to unpack there for sure.
Oh, yeah. That's where I was going with it.
Well, right, but you're going to have to split this up, because based off of what you just said, you're encompassing everybody. No, but from what you just described, you're talking like teenagers and early 20s people.
Mainly.
Okay.
Because that's who's getting into.
Great.
That's who it's affecting most now.
Then those people need better parents.
I agree. Yeah. Better fathers, role models. Yeah.
No, I don't even mean that. It's just, that's not something that the government needs to step in and do anything about. That's not anything that society needs to step in and do anything about. That's simply a parent needs to step in and parent. They need to they need to teach that individual, the boundaries and the things that they need to do to move forward. Because if you can't handle something as simple as pornography, then you're not ready to move out into the world.
But here's the thing as well, though. I don't think it's just pornography, because there's a theme usually around the incel types. They're usually homebodies. They sit in their dark rooms all day on the computer. They don't go outside. They don't have social lives outside of, virtual on the internet. Porn, gaming, talking to people online. Like, that's their reality. So
Grubhub, they never have to leave.
True, or not even. Like, mom buys them all the food, and they just make Kraft macaroni and cheese breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I think that's another issue with growing up in today's environment, is it's so easy to get stuck in that, because there is so much information and entertainment online that it's not like back in the day where we had our Nintendos and stuff like that. And yeah, you could have fun with it. You could watch a VHS movie or something, but the real entertainment was outside on bikes or, skateboards or just whatever, like having fun outdoors, playing war, that type of thing.
That's another thing I got to disagree with you on, because the relationships that these people build with the people that they meet online, in more times than not, those relationships are stronger than any relationship that even we have with just somebody that we've met walking down the street.
So, and I'm not talking so much about that. It's the dependence on it. That's really what I'm getting at, because there's a lot of people that I have. Well, I mean, I met my wife online. I'll say that. So did I. That was something that fostered over a few months before I even actually met her. Yeah. So, it's not so much about the quality of the relationships. It's dependence on that medium for their entire reality. Everything comes from that. There's gamers out there that spend a considerable amount of time on the computer and have, friends from all over the world, but do other things as well. That's not their entire life. They don't sit there all day to where they're not even showering or sleeping.
I'm going to say, I just a couple days ago introduced you to a friend of mine that I I met playing a game that you know, and I'd been playing with her for almost 3 years.
Yeah, really, really nice girl, by the way. Really nice lady, by the way. Yeah.
But I mean, that's where I met her. You know, that's just playing games.
We'll be talking about all that stuff next week, actually. So,
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cool.
So to kind of bring it back around to where we started. Oh no, don't
I
even
disagree with you both on both parts.
So to put this all in a little box that's fair to me and not at all fair to you guys, I think that that OnlyFans and porn in general is the degradation of society and evil and terrible.
Hold up.
No. Hold on. Let me finish.
Have you seen every OnlyFans page? Do you know that every single OnlyFans page is a bad thing? There could be some very, very great, wonderful.
Listen. We're
life
guys,
changing.
Let me put this all in a box that's really unfair to you guys and fair to me. I said that at the beginning. So let me finish. All porn is terrible. All OnlyFans, the other one that we were talking about, PornHub, all of it is terrible, and it's terrible for society. That says I. Chris says, there's room for to talk about it, and there's room to have a discussion and room to breathe. And Chaz is absolutely 100% for it and wants it to.
Chaz probably has PornHub up on his other monitor right now and is just waiting for the podcast to end.
Now hold on, I am going to back up on you just real quick. I want to roll the bus right the hell over you right now.
Do it. Okay. Roll it over.
Being the capitalist individual that you are 100% against a website primarily dedicated to women entrepreneurs?
Oh, I don't see it as women entrepreneurs. I think women are.
It's legal to sell. I think legal to fuck. They're just selling.
I see it as reducing women to know more than just the holes that they were born with.
That's
so.
Oh, but that's their choice.
I what's funny is that there's been a lot of times that I've thought about this. And I'm trying to think about how to put it online, but if you were born a even just semi attractive woman, you have such an easy opportunity if that's the route that you want to take, because man, just being a guy and having talked to guys my entire life, like there are so many guys that like so many different things, and man, are they willing to pay so much money for the dumbest stuff. So I don't, if I were a girl and I were in dire straits and that were available, I can't say I wouldn't be thinking about it like hardcore. I'll say that.
I will say this. It looks fantastic on my new 5G iPhone 12.
Oh, man. Disgust me. I will never ask to borrow your phone.
Just say it.
So speaking of technology.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Good Lord.
I'm sorry.
Chaz, I didn't realize this because we were talking about this before about Starlink from SpaceX. And to everybody out there that somehow doesn't know about this, well, Chaz, go ahead and explain it to everybody. Starlink, what's it about?
We have to go back to our old friend Elon Musk again. Had another brilliant idea for a venture and decided to set out on the goal of he wanted to provide internet to the world, regardless of your location.
Fantastic.
Regardless of your location. You're in the middle of the desert, stuck in the Amazon rainforest, you don't care, you can have internet. So October, I think, 2018, they started shooting satellites into space. There are now over 900 satellites in space, and not quite my area yet, but a big part of the southern, southwestern United States can actually get a service called Starlink from SpaceX and Elon Musk, and he's using the proceeds at the moment. He's using the proceeds to help fund the mission to Mars. But basically, yeah, you get broadband internet. I mean, not quite 5G, but it's better than 4G. It's faster than 4G.
Oh,
and it's downside is it's like a $500 deposit, but it's $100 a month.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Chaz, really quick, because of all the as technologically savvy as I am, 4G versus 5G speeds, I'm not very educated. I've never really looked that up because I haven't really cared. 4G has been fast enough for me. 5G I guess would be even better. But what's the speed difference between 4G and 5G?
5G is 100 times faster.
Oh, wow,
legit.
Like 100 times faster
10 gigabytes
theoretically.
No, just it.
Oh, so it's a 10 gigabit system is basically what it is. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. So 4G then would be what 0.1 gigabit per second if it's 100 times faster?
So that'd be 100 gigabits a second. 100 gigabytes or 100.
You're right. 100 megabytes. Right. So 0.1 gigabits per second. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what it works out to. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm doing this stuff in my head live, but wow, but
it's a significant.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that 4G was actually that slow. It seems a lot faster than that, but 100 times faster. Yeah, that is significant.
It's like when I went from my 4G Droid to my 5G iPhone, it was like, holy crap, just at how much faster everything was. And not only that, I have signal in places I wouldn't have signal with my other phones.
Oh.
And it's got to do with how that's developed. But
so 100, right. Okay. So 100 megabit per second, right. So it would be 0.1 gigabit. So okay, yeah. Wow. So okay. One thing that I've heard a lot of about this whole Starlink program, because you said it was 12,000 eventually, they're planning to have 12,000 of these satellites kind of in like a grid around Earth.
The whole planet, yeah.
Right.
That's a lot of satellites.
Yes.
Jeez.
And I know a lot of people are kind of concerned about the clutter in orbit. Is it's low Earth orbit that they're in, I'm assuming. Yeah. So they're worried about the clutter because there's a lot of junk in space right now. And granted, there's a lot of space in low Earth orbit. It's a lot more area than the surface of the Earth, but it's getting to the point where people are starting to actually voice some concerns about that. Did you read anything about any of that stuff? Because I'm just curious.
Not really. It's basically it's just going to come down to just same as directing air traffic and traffic in a city. People are going to have trajectories that they have to take out to avoid satellites.
Sure.
But I mean, it's going to be a system for the world, not just for the United States. And obviously it's going to wind up doing more than just provide internet. Eventually it's going to wind up being government satellites, I'm sure, and
oh yeah, I bet
help regulate everything. And
well, just the fact that because there's so many first world countries take for granted what they have in terms of technology. For example, my wife, she's American. She was born in Miami, but her family's in Argentina. She grew up in Argentina, and I've been down there to visit her family, and it's just different. There's just a technologically inferior society, and that's just how it is. But they're fine with it, and in a way, it was kind of cool. It was kind of like a reboot for me almost, because I'm so used to being around all this technology all the time. And down there, they had like a laptop at their house. They still had an old CRT TV that they would like hook the laptop up to watch the football games or soccer games down there. And everybody has Motorola phones. You hear "Hello, Moto," do. That's that thing all over the place. because iPhones and all the Androids are just so much more expensive. But there's places out there that don't even have computers, like ancient computers, let alone internet, let alone cellular signal and stuff like that. Like you'd have to have a sat phone to even communicate out there, and that's way more expensive than they can afford. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a game changer for in a lot more ways than even just having communication, because it's bringing that connectivity to people that have never had it before in very remote locations.
Right. But here's the cool thing about like I mentioned 5G before, but the cool thing about that is it can also, I mean, it's a communications device. So it's used for phones, but it's also used for TV. It's also used for internet. So when he finally gets all those satellites up there, then they're going to upgrade everything. And then you're going to have 5G coverage across the world. So then no matter where you are on the planet, you can do anything. I mean, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And we're talking in the next 5 years.
We don't even have to talk. I mean, you don't even have to go international for that. Guys like me that live out in the boondocks, bring it on. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, especially Parrish. We actually, when we first looked and saw that the Starlink was opening up to people that didn't have access to broadband or high-speed internet, we were like, Parrish, you have to check, because what did you say your speeds were? Somewhere around like 5 megabit per second?
Yeah, the other night when I did the speed test, I was at like 4.8. Mbops is what I call them. I was at 4.8 mbops, and that was download speed. My upload speed was 1.8, if that. I don't think it was even 1 point. I think it might have been like 1 mbop.
Man, you're getting back down to like the start downloading an MP3 at night and hope it's done in the morning speed.
Oh, dude, that's how I do. If I get a game on my Xbox One, like we do game download, because my wife and I play together a lot of times. So we have 2 Xboxes. If you get the digital download, you can download on both of them.
Right.
And I mean, we have to start the night before. Like we get a game, the day we get a game, we're not playing it. I mean, it takes literally a full 24 hours to download it on both on both Xboxes. So it is.
That is crazy. It's so funny because nowadays, back when I was in, say, high school, for example, middle school, high school, when Napster was a big thing, because it was kind of like the first music sharing program out there. It's just kind of how it was. If you wanted to download a song, you might pick 3 of them, wait for them to, start downloading, and then walk away. And in the morning, if you got 1 or 2 out of 3, that would be fantastic. A video, I mean, even for just a small, like ultra low resolution video, you'd be looking at, a few days probably worth of downloading back then. But nowadays, with my phone, if I'm not able to download the latest episode of The Mandalorian in real time without buffering, that I start getting really frustrated. Technology has come a long way, and it's only going faster, and it's getting cheaper. So it's really kind of cool. Well, some is right.
Hopefully I can get caught up with you guys. Come on, Elon. Come on, Starlink. Let's go.
Yeah.
Get me to 2021.
So one other thing that I want to mention with the 5G thing is something that I heard about before, when, I don't know, probably before the whole COVID thing even started, but apparently a lot of who they are. Let me see. I think I have on the screen, so the NOAA's administrator, for example, testifying that the 5G band, like the frequency band at which these devices will operate. For everyone out there that doesn't understand that, any electronic device has legally designated frequency bands that they can operate in, and it changes
radio
sometimes.
Frequencies.
Right. Radio frequencies is correct. And it changes, occasionally. Like, for example, wireless lavalier mics for, video, for example. We I have a few. Sure, I think they're sure like lav packs or whatever. One of them is now illegal, so I still use it, but technically it's an illegal frequency because they changed that, that band they reserved it for cellular or something like that. I don't know, but so technically I shouldn't be able to use it, and I can't sell it because it would be an illegal sale. So I'd have to upgrade. But the 5G band apparently, according to Neil Jacobs, who is the NOAA's acting administrator at the time that this happened, which was in 2019, August 2019, he testified that the 5G related interference would interfere with about 77% of the water vapor data that weather tracking satellites can collect. So there was this huge outcry about the rush to install 5G capable devices and transmitters and everything because, all the meteorologists, all the national weather tracking services or international global weather tracking services rely on these frequencies that their satellites use to take pictures and measure data. And apparently 5G can interfere with that. I don't know where that's at now. It's just something that I kind of pulled up so I just remembered it, but maybe we'll need to address that in the next show because that was something I thought was interesting.
I didn't see anything on it.
Did you not? Okay, well,
I didn't see anything on it.
Let's just see if I can find something really quick. And this is National Geographic.
It's like I read some stuff about some people were concerned about the frequencies and it affecting like cellular degradation and causing cancer and stuff like this, but I didn't read anything about that. I mean, it went as far as afterwards to mention how that was all debunked.
Was it?
And the I can pull it up, but I'm
going through the National Geographic one right now. I'm trying to get to like the meat and potatoes of it. So telecommunications technologies like 5G internet need space on the electromagnetic spectrum, the range of all types of electromagnetic radiation that includes microwaves, infrared, ultraviolet light, gamma, and X-rays. Today, that space is at a premium, and that's true because, like I said, it's very, very tightly mapped out, and you only have so much space. So everything from X-rays and stuff like that for medical to ultraviolet, and for science, just all this stuff is all restricted and legally managed and assigned. But let's see what they say about the 5G things. I'm just wondering. Apparently, the range at question, the crucial band, this guy says, William Blackwell, who's an atmospheric scientist and engineer at MIT, is 23.8 gigahertz. Water vapor absorbs in this microwave band, leaving behind a faint signal that can only be read by satellite-mounted instruments that look at the microwave part of the spectrum. The problem now is that telecommunications companies are interested in using parts of that spectrum next to the water vapor signal. So that was kind of where that came from, was that specific spectrum. I don't know where it's at right now. I'll do a little bit more research, but I was just curious because there was a huge rush. And I know this was where a lot of the conspiracy theories about 5G kind of come from as well, with how fast they're trying to implement the technology. And there hasn't been as much research done on possible negative effects. And then you have the theories that are way out there, but like the ones that are more just worried about harmful side effects from 5G, like is it cancer causing or whatever, like people that think that cell phones cause brain cancer or whatever. But we'll mark that down for the next show and move on, right? So you guys ready for the good guy with a gun story?
That works.
Let's talk about good guys. Let's talk about guns.
I like guns.
Let's mash them together.
Yeah. I like good guys. I like guns. I'm not a huge fan of bad, sad, irritating news stories. So let's look at some happy stuff. Well,
happy stuff.
So this is another good example of why guns for self-defense are important, because they are the great equalizer. not everybody out there that uses guns for self-defense look like us strapping, beautiful, extremely muscular, and athletically capable men. Some of these people might be incels, for example, since we were talking about that earlier. Some of them might be.
That is a callback right there. That's what we in the industry call a callback.
Killed it. Some of them might be women that are just small in stature and like frail or elderly people, or just people that aren't as strong as someone that might be trying to do them harm. So, as was the case with a 75-year-old Meals on Wheels truck driver. So this guy's just volunteering with Meals on Wheels. Oh, maybe he works there, but I'm assuming he's volunteering because he's 75, driving a Meals on Wheels truck. And for everybody who doesn't know what that is, Meals on Wheels is like a food collection donation center. Different organizations will pick up canned goods and things like that on these food drives and then bring them to a center, and they'll organize them and distribute them to families in need or around different holidays or things like that. It's a good program. So this guy's driving a truck.
We're talking about a terrible person to begin with.
Absolutely.
Like just baseline.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This guy's
he's probably
fellow.
tatted up. He's probably just
right.
Yeah, right. He's not
going to choir practice.
He's got the teardrops all the way down his face, going all the way down, to that V
taking
cut.
Little old ladies their meals.
Yeah, exactly. So he's driving this truck, and he pulls up, and a couple of teenagers come up and demand he get out of the truck, and one of them pulls out a gun and points it at the guy's face. And this is a 75-year-old dude, right? So he gets out of the car. One of the teens is still pointing the gun at his face. The other one takes his cell phone, takes his wallet. I mean, just picture this, everybody, really quick. I just want you to think about this. Teenagers, I think they were like 14, 15, 14, something like that. Teenagers holding a gun at just a 75-year-old man who's trying to do something good in like the later years of his life, robbing him of his cell phone, wallet, trying to take the Meals on Wheels truck that he's driving. That was their end game. So once the gun wielder focused his attention on getting inside the truck, Rams just happened to be packing. And because he had a pistol in his face, gun wielder was dropped instantly. And the other one, of course, skedaddled the hell out of there because he's not sticking around, because usually people that do that type of thing aren't the strong, committed types. But yeah, so good for him.
Good for him.
I'm very glad that he was able to defend himself, because even if they didn't intend to kill him, I guarantee they had the finger on the trigger. I guarantee they didn't know anything about proper gun, use, safety, or any of that stuff. It could be as simple as, they got startled, they flinched and pulled the trigger, and that guy lost his life for what? For what? So perfect example of the great equalizer. Yeah. But
good on him. I thought you were going to be telling I thought you were going with a scene from Gran Torino, there for a little bit. I saw like that whole story. All I saw was Clint Eastwood in his 1911 outside the window, like, get off my lawn.
That was such a good movie. And what I loved about it even more was the fact that he used his weapons from World War II. That was just so cool to me, that he's got the 1911. I can't remember if it was the M1 Garand or if it was the M1 Car. I think it was the Garand that he had. I don't think it was a carbine. But it's just these classic firearms from when he served, and just a hardcore. Clint Eastwood is such an actor that can play such a badass in movies, even in his later years. Intense, intense. Oh, and we just lost Parrish. So while Parrish is trying to get reconnected, what I will do is read one more story that I got that I liked from, there we go, from the Armed Citizen. This is on the NRA page, but this is back in history, 1964. So this is how things kind of, used to be. In the early morning hours in Stewartston, Pennsylvania, Harry H. Grimm, Grimm, heard the lock being forced on his apartment door. Grabbing a 12-gauge shotgun, Grim shouted, "If you come in, I'll shoot." When the door burst open, Grim dropped the intruder with one fatal shot. It was later learned that the would-be burglar had broken into the same apartment 3 times previously and had served 18 months for one of the break-ins, and I guess he had just got out and went right back to break into it again. Well, third time's the charm, I guess. And that's 1964.
Well, he clearly wasn't going to learn his lesson.
Apparently not. And he was even warned, if you open that door, I'm going to shoot. How much more clear can you be? So, yeah. Good for him.
Good for him.
Oh, man. Well, guys, there's been a lot of pretty crazy things happening already this year. So I think we'll end it on.
We're only on day
7. Yeah,
Day 7.
Day 7. So
it's the free trial period. Can I get my money back?
No kidding.
Right, on 2021.
No kidding. So I think instead of getting into any of that right now, let's let it play out for another week and just leave things on that happy note for this episode. How about that? You guys feel good about that?
I'm for it. I'm here for it, buddy.
All right. Well, everybody out there in YouTube land, go ahead and comment in the comment section about any of the stuff we just talked about. Let us know what your status is on the stimulus deposit. Let us know if you have one of those cards that you get direct deposits like a day early, or if you have a bank account, if you use TurboTax, H&R Block, Tax, what was the other one? Tax Slayer. Any of that. We just want to know what the status is because it's all over online, and Chaz and I still haven't gotten ours. So we're as curious as you guys. But be sure to subscribe if you want any more information. Drop some likes, and we'll see you guys next time. Deuces.